Hey everyone, Kevin here, and welcome back to my channel. So after editing last week's video on some annoying trends in the L&D world, I realized there was a tangential topic that also deserved a conversation of its own. The question of, are attention spans of our learners actually getting shorter? And this applies to both my past as a secondary teacher and now as an ID in the corporate world, so I can actually come at this question from two different angles. But to quickly respond to the question before going into more detail, the answer is just no. Attention spans aren't getting shorter, and I'm tired of that argument being levied against students at school and with learners in the workforce at large because it distorts the issues we face when crafting lessons or training. In my experience, it's abundantly clear that all teachers and instructional designers are aware that attention spans aren't the problem or even the real issue that we must consider when creating learning. And importantly, virtually no one creates learning with that thought in mind anyway, outside of a few, well, kind of jaded people. The issues that mimic decreasing attention spans and make people believe that's the case are context, workload, competing priorities and tight deadlines, and other distractions that end up taking attention away from learning rather than people inherently having the attention span of goldfish that is reported in the media or on LinkedIn sometimes. Learning is often dictated by things far outside the control of those who craft it. Teachers have to contend with state standards and administrator expectations that restrict them from making instruction as interesting as it could be and forces them to create content in the way that is asked of them. Oh, and add in the problem of time constraints of the school year itself, and you end up with a perfect storm that leaves disinterested students in its wake. Coupled with cell phones and the multitude of other distractions in the classroom these days, you can see that it isn't necessarily the kids' attention spans that are getting shorter, but that we have to compete with those other things for their attention. And unless you're doing something really fun and entertaining, you're never going to win in a battle between what's going on inside a student's cell phone and school. This is exactly why there's been such a push nationwide to ban cell phones at school. Not because we want to control kids and prevent them from staying in contact with their parents, but that we need them to focus on the learning at hand, which is so often not what they choose to do if they can use their phone. And we run into the same challenges in the corporate world, just for different reasons. Instructional designers rarely choose short training formats like videos or micro learnings because we doubt learners or their ability to pay attention. We often choose those tools because we likewise do so when it is the only viable option stemming from business, stakeholder, and subject matter expert pressures. Leaders want fast turnarounds to reduce costs and rapidly solve training issues, which is only natural. The problem is when that impacts our workflows in getting those trainings out while still delivering as high quality of a learning experience as we can, especially when we have Teams or Slack notifications popping off constantly, dozens of emails to send and respond to, and meetings to attend. Corporate workers also have things which draw their attention away from learning on a consistent basis. I've lost count of how many times I've had to wait weeks for people to respond because they were so busy and couldn't get back to me. So, when deadlines dominate over everything else like that, the tools we use and the learning we make is dictated by those things, not some nebulous belief that learners have shorter attention spans. And I can guarantee literally everyone watching has had a time where you had to pump out work at a pace dictated by your boss or some other deadline, even when you knew it wasn't going to turn out as your best work, just because you had to. Worse yet, many managers and administrators these days are the types who think that the success of platforms like YouTube, Netflix, and TikTok mean that learning should function and be binge worthy in the same way, which it will never be. Learning is work and can be quick or long depending on the type of best suited to what we're trying to do or the problem we're trying to solve. But in either education or corporate, we rarely can push back on training requests or demands that we know aren't entirely realistic or which we know won't result in the standard of work we hold ourselves to. When people have clarity, time, and relevance, they'll engage deeply with anything regardless of their attention span, and we need the bandwidth to make that kind of content. The problem is, again, the context of what's taking place during the development of that learning. which is why the conversation needs to move far away from people having short attention spans and instead refocus to one of alignment. When those same leaders do give realistic expectations of what needs to be created and delivered, or when we can convince them of what we actually need to be successful, then we can craft meaningful learning that is not only effective, but which is best suited to the learner's needs and wants. So, are there people who think that learners have short attention spans and thus design learning that way? Sure, of course there are. But that's a really flawed point of view which ignores a lot of needed context and outside influences that rather make it appear people have shorter attention spans, even when they clearly don't. What we actually have is a competition for attention, not short attention spans in and of themselves. Heck, I find myself pausing work sometimes, watching a YouTube video or two, and then drifting back to what I was doing. That's pretty normal these days, but that doesn't mean I can't pay attention. Navigating that problem is tricky, and dealing with the challenges from those sources of competition requires a lot of trust and support that we know what we're doing. Without that, we're just going to keep choosing tools which allow us to best meet expectations, even when they aren't the best tool for the job. Just like I said in the last week's video, since a lot of people just default to the same tools instead of, again, what is actually best for the issue at hand. So, can we please stop promoting the myth that learners have short attention spans? Because, frankly, they just don't. We just have new and stronger competition for that attention. So, keep it in mind. Well, guys, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you aren't subscribed yet, please do so. Every single person helps the channel grow, and it is an easy way to support me too. But for now, I've been Kevin, and I will see you in the next video.